What's going on, everybody? We're going to talk a little downswing theory because I've gotten some questions about it. So downswing is really important to the golf swing. Let's dive deep into it. Hey everybody, Scott Hogan coming at you. We are out here today at Lockport High School, actually really close to where I live. And what's awesome about this place is they actually have 3 holes on their campus that their players use and the community can use when you are not in school. So we're here after school hours, but great place to come over. I've been working a lot here because they have the yardages that I need to work on to be able to improve my game. So namely this 135 yard shot, which I've been struggling with. So I've been over here quite a bit trying to work on it, getting this ball to be a little bit more accurate. And that got me thinking a little bit about the downswing. I've actually had one of the best summers for me and really stretches of striking the ball in a long time. It's actually going back to when I was actually probably playing my best golf of my life back in college. I have a lot of those feels and a lot of that confidence in my ball striking that has come about. And a lot of that comes from a couple of things. So one, I've gotten back to some of my roots in how I'm swinging the club on the way back. I talk a lot about the gravity fit and how everything works with that. I also have done some work with Rick Silva, who we had in a video series back in the spring, and we were talking about some backswing theory as we were going through. And a lot of people from that video said, hey, that's great, really good information, but what about the downswing? What do we need to do? So we're going to talk about that here. So just a little recap. I'm not going to go over the whole video with Rick. You can watch that video at the link up here if you want to see it. And the biggest things that we talked about there was when we were making a backswing, that there's kind of a couple of elements that you have to look at. So the first being there's arm lift, okay? And there's about 100 degrees of arm lift. You've got some rotation of your arm, okay? And then you obviously pivot the body a little bit as you go, okay? So a lot of people have said, hey, that makes your backswing look pretty good. I've really enjoyed how my backswing has looked. If I wanted to make it look any better, I need to get some more pivot. That's about it. But I've enjoyed it and it's really helped me. Now, what that does is it helps you set up the downswing. Now, there are a few different things you can do in your downswing, okay? There are a few different downswings you can have. We're gonna talk about those. The key is you have to know what you're doing and how that matches up to be able to strike the ball better, okay? So let's think about first our downswing goals, okay? So what's downswing goal number 1, okay? Well, when I think of that is I've got my golf club here and we're gonna kind of dumb this down a little bit. We don't have to get into the super science about the center of mass or anything, but what I'm looking at is the center of my club head. Okay, so, you know, the sweet spot of the club, okay? When I set up to hit a golf ball, that sweet spot is right behind that ball. And that's obviously how we're gonna wanna hit the golf ball, is right back on that sweet spot. So when I make my backswing, one of the first things I'm thinking about is I'm trying to get that sweet spot back out to the golf ball. Now, the second thing that I'm trying to do is I'm trying to make sure when I hit the golf ball that I can strike it first. I want to be able to strike downward on the ball so I can trap it and I can strike a nice solid shot, sending the ball to our target, okay? So that's going to be the second thing that we look at. Now, the third thing that I'm looking for is trying to control how much twist I have to put on the club face. Now, that's a little bit of a catch-22 because we have to twist the club face at some point. You have to twist the face coming into the ball. If you don't, you're gonna come in, that club face is gonna be pointing way open. That's when you get slices, you get shanks, you get a bunch of stuff, okay? So that's what our goals are. That's what we're trying to do. So let's kind of go over some of the downswings that I see that people are trying to do. Okay, so the first is most people are trying to swing in to out towards the golf ball. Okay, so I think when people think about this, the biggest mistake they make is when they go back, they think, all right, I'm up at the top, I've got to go out to the ball. So what happens is their hands, the path of their hands travels out. So it's going over the ball. So what ends up happening is no matter what you do, that club, even if you kind of do one of these or whatever, that club is over. You are going to have to shut everything down and try to do something to get that club down to the golf ball. I like to think of it this way, okay? On the backswing, the most amount of motion that I have, okay, is the hands and arms go up, okay? That is the most amount of motion. So if I'm coming back to the golf ball, that is going to be the most amount of motion coming back. So what I like to think about is when I'm coming down, the hands and arms need to be coming down. I need to be working them back down because that's where I've got the most distance to travel. Also, you'll notice when I do that, as my hands and arms work down, okay, I can keep the club wide. I don't have to pull the club in. I can keep it wide, and that's gonna let me shift and get back to the golf ball and strike the ball first. That's a big deal, okay? So I like to see people go up, down to the ball, okay? Now those are gonna be the two main things that they need to work on, okay? Get the hands traveling more down. Don't go out to the ball. Keep them wide on the way down. Don't jam your hands in narrow, because when you do that, this club head is really, really high, and I've got to get it down to the golf ball in a very short amount of time. So when I have to do that, everything shuts down, okay? Everything shuts down. I can't get through it, and I'm gonna have to do something weird. That's when you have issues in the downswing. So from there, I've kind of covered the two things that I want to see. One, I've got to get it down, okay? I'm coming down. When I come down, that allows me to travel more from the inside, okay? I'm not going outside first, okay? Now, the second thing it lets me do is my body is still allowed to be active, so I can actually move forward a little bit, get my pressure onto my front foot, and that allows me to hit the golf ball first, okay? There's gonna be another part to that, but it allows for that to happen. Now, the one thing that people don't realize is when they get here and they start coming down, I've got to still get the center of the golf club out to the ball, okay? And so what is that motion, okay? Well, it's very simple. All it is it's actually a torque of our hands. It's literally us doing this, okay? And a lot of people are afraid to do that. They say, that's flipping. Scott, I don't want to flip. Well, flipping is a good thing in your swing. You have other things going on that make it not look like you're flipping. Flipping is necessary. We call it going normal. You have to go normal. Pros are always looking for some sort of flip. If you ever watch them hit, minus like a punch shot, you know, they go through, that club has extended through, their arms are extended, and that's because they let that club head fly by. So what I want to see when people are coming down is they go up, and as they're coming down, hands are going down, club head is getting out, and you can see how the club head is getting lined up with the center of the club face ready to go into the ball, okay? If I get to that position, I am really looking good. I can do a bunch of things from there. I can take a shot, I can go up, down, turn, okay? If you're somebody that wants to have a little more rotation, that's not my preferred way, but it's a way that works for many, okay? If you're somebody that wants to go back, down, release, and feel a little bit more hands to control the face, you can do that. You'll still see some rotation, but it's not nearly as much. You're not driving with that rotation. That's the way I like it, and that's how I've been striking the ball really well. You can do that, but you have to make sure that club head's getting off. And you know, again, as you look at me swing, here's my feel, right? Here's the feel. That club head lined up, going in, okay? Do that again. Going in, okay? If I do that, you know, everybody's gonna say, oh, you're over the top, you're steep. Well, let's watch how that feel works out. Ball struck extremely well. That one's actually right at it. Into the wind a little today, but I'll take that. You can see as we watch that swing back, it's not very steep at all. It's weird how that works, right? Feel and real are a much different thing. So some of the things that I see people doing when they come to me, they try and do a couple of things. And again, there's ways for everybody and there's multiple ways to do this, but a couple of the big ones that I see, you know, people get up here and they're really trying to shallow it out. They do something like this. You can play like this, but look at where the center of the club head is. Even if I get it square, look at where that is. How am I gonna get that over here? I'm going all the way back here. I'm gonna either have to crank it over, or you can also rotate. Now, anytime I do that, to be honest, I hit it off the toe because that center is not getting out there enough. But you have to rotate so hard. I can't do that, okay? I know I can't. Now, I'm not a physical specimen, but I know a lot of people I work with, they aren't either, okay? A lot of pros aren't, okay? They aren't trying to do that. There's a couple guys that maybe say they try to, but honestly, it's very, very few and far between. The other thing that happens when you start to do this, look at how my wrist is. If I just hold the club here, I can tell you right now, my wrist is hurting, okay? Your wrist is like this, okay? This golf club, especially with a driver, it's gonna start weighing the amount of force. It gets to be about 100 pounds. 100 pounds swung at, 100 miles an hour or plus for some of you, or less for some of you, but still at a high rate of speed. Imagine throwing a 100-pound dumbbell, holding it like this, and start winging it around. That's gonna hurt. You will get hurt. We are seeing all the guys that have that super bowed look, they have wrist issues, okay? They all do. All right, so we have to be cognizant of that. Is it what you want? Is it good for you? And is it gonna be easier for you, okay? So for me, one of the big reasons I'm intrigued by, all right, I go up and I'm just trying to reverse it, get the center of mass and get things working, because to me, it makes more sense from a body standpoint where we are not gonna be putting too much stress on our joints. Our body parts are moving how they are going, okay? So that's gonna be the big thing that we are looking at. Now, one little bonus tip about the downswing that we don't hear talked about a lot, okay, is there's a physical body part that plays a major role in the downswing, and that is gonna be your scapula. So, your shoulder blade, right back here. So what happens in a downswing is, or actually when you're just moving your swing, is your scapula retracts. So what ends up happening is that scapula actually slides down your back, okay? And so when I get up to the top of my swing, my right scapula has actually retracted down my back. Now, one of the big things that helps people get better is if they work on that scapula, because as I go down, that scapula is actually staying retracted, okay? It's stabilized and it's actually helping to get that club to come down the way I want to. When people really struggle is they go back and they lose control of that. The scapula actually wants to come back up and it goes up, and then that starts throwing things into some weird positions. That's when you start seeing a lot of early extension type stuff, all of that. So got to be very careful. If you're finding that, start trying to focus on that shoulder blade. As you go up, you might start feeling it where it's actually feeling like it's sliding down. That's what it's supposed to do. And then as you're going through your swing, you do want to feel like it stays retracted all the way through until you go through to hit the shot, right? So that's a little anatomy part if you want to start focusing on how your body moves to be able to deliver your downswing a little better. So that's the downswing. That's what helps me. That's what helps a lot of my students get a lot better. We don't really focus on all of the fads. We focus on what makes sense, okay? Got to get the center of the club back to the ball. That's always, always, always rule number one. Ask any of my junior students. If you can't get the center of the club back to the ball, that's a problem, okay? You need to work on that. It takes pretty much everything. So we're working on that. You can work your angles as you're delivering it, trying to deliver from the outside. I think the big thing people have to understand is trying to deliver from this more in to out pattern. When you're up at the top, you actually have to work more down down equals more out, okay? And then from there, you work on getting that club to the ball before it gets to the ground. You're really gonna have a lot better chance of making really good contact, and I think people will shoot a lot lower scores, and I see it every day because they're just very confident that they know how to make the ball run into the club, right? And have that contact be just absolutely perfect. So if you have questions about it, please leave a comment down below. Would love to hear your thoughts. And as always, click that subscribe button if you want more tips. We have more travel series coming up and all of that. So if you enjoy the game of golf, this is the place for you. So we'll see you in a future video. Thanks for watching. Peace.